Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to allow 2 more minutes for everyone to join. And while everyone is joining, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat box. You can give us your name, your business, and just connect with everyone in the network in the chat box. You can also link your social media as well as follow us on our social media. Rachel, do you have some tags that you can drop down for people to follow us?
Yeah, we're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So if you look us up on Facebook or LinkedIn, you can just look up Temple University Small Business Development Center. On Twitter, we are TU_SBDC. And on Instagram, we are Temple SBDC.
Thanks, Rachel. And then if you have any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to drop them in the Q&A box. That way we can see your question and answer it. All right, thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Taya Brown. I'm the Administrative Coordinator at the Temple SBDC. The Temple SBDC helps small businesses start, grow, and succeed. We do this through our no-cost consulting and a variety of our webinars and training programs like you're joining us today. This program is a part of our Startup Essentials program. We do this to help you understand the basics of studying a business. Our regularly scheduled sessions will help you gain the skills you need to succeed and avoid mistakes. You'll receive more information about upcoming webinars in this program in our follow-up email that is sent within 2 to 3 business days after this webinar. You're joining us for blogging strategies for your small business. We're recording today's session, and a copy of the recording and PowerPoint will be sent to all attendees within a few business days in a follow-up email. All attendees have been muted. We do encourage you to post any questions in the Q&A and chat box. Now I'll turn the floor to Rachel Hammond. Rachel.
Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. Trying to unmute. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you here for blogging strategies for your small business. Glad that you could join us. And over the next few hours, or my goodness, over the next hour, we are going to chat about blogging for your small business. Before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about the Small Business Development Center. We're hosted by the Fox School of Business here at Temple University. We've been serving small businesses in Philadelphia, Eastern Montgomery, and Lower Bucks County since 1983. So we're in our 40th year here. We aim to be a place where all members of our small business community can thrive, grow, develop, and we prioritize diversity, equity, and inclusion to ensure that everyone is part of a positive and respectful environment. It's a benefit to our whole small business community when we can surround ourselves with all different types of perspectives. We offer some truly wonderful services here at the SBDC. So if this is your first time interacting with us, I just wanted to take a moment to give you a breakdown of some of the services we offer. If you've been with us before, if you're already a consulting client, then you can tune out for the next 30 seconds. We offer one-on-one consulting where you're paired with a small business specialist who acts as your advisor. What's special about the SBDC's consulting is that it's not one-off. Your consultant stays your consultant for as long as you choose to work with the SBDC. So they check in with you regularly, and you're really able to develop a relationship with your consultant. Consultants can help you with a host of small business considerations. Think business planning, marketing, research, financial management, procurement. It really runs the gauntlet there. Aside from consulting, we also offer training programs and webinars like the one that you're attending today. We offer training on everything from choosing different types of legal formations, social media, cybersecurity, and a whole host of other different education. We offer clinics, long-form courses, and we also offer branding clinic, which can help you with creative services. I want to talk a little bit about me. My name is Rachel. I am the marketing communications specialist here at the Temple SBDC. I've got a bachelor's degree in advertising and I got my MBA last year. I manage all of the marketing initiatives for the Small Business Development Center, including our content strategy, which includes blogging. I've lived in Philadelphia for a decade and I just love the unique small businesses all over the city. I'm consistently exploring and trying to buy things constantly and check out different services, different restaurants, especially this time of the year. My partner, he is losing it. There's things I'm bringing home every day from different small businesses in our neighborhood. So I'm going to jump right into the agenda. We've got a lot to cover. So I want to talk about what we're going to be tackling in today's webinar. First, we're going to go through all of the blogging basics. What is a blog? What a blog post is, and why you should even care about having a blog. Then we'll talk about how you can start a blog and what it should look like. Then we're going to tackle the hardest part, which is coming up with content. What should you even be writing about? Then I'm going to walk you through the steps of actually putting pen to paper or keyboard to Word document in this case. And finally, we're going to talk through what you can do with your blog posts once they're up. I will be monitoring the chat. Taya is also going to be monitoring the chat. So if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat or the Q&A, and I'll make sure that I can answer them. Hopefully I can answer them for you. So what is a blog? Most of you have likely read a blog, whether it's a business or personal blog. A blog is a dedicated website, or if you're a business, a section of your website that is regularly updated with new content. Personal blogs usually come directly from the writer's perspective and focus on their own personal experiences and interests. So think recipe blogs or travel blogs. And business blogs, which is what we're focusing on today, are created with the distinct purpose of fulfilling a business need. Business blogs are usually a section of the website that you already have for your business. And unlike the rest of your website, which has content that doesn't change super often, your about page, your mission statement, that stuff isn't changing super often. Blogs are regularly updated with new and relevant content, which helps keep your website fresh and helps drive traffic to your site. Business blogs often restrict comments or completely disallow them, which ensures that no inappropriate or irrelevant comments show up on your brand's blog. Blogs can be organized in many ways, but the most common is in reverse chronological order, which just means that the most recent piece of content appears at the top. Many business blogs also organize their blogs by topic. For example, HubSpot's blog is organized by marketing, sales, website, e-commerce. But a good rule of thumb is if you are organizing by topic, it's also a good practice to organize those topics by most recent, which just helps ensure that the most topical blogs appear at the top. So we talked about a blog. So what is a blog post? A blog is the section of your website that houses individual blog posts. So a post is an individual web page focused on a specific topic. Examples can include my favorite Christmas puns as a marketer, best candles for people with allergies, or how to handle burnout as a small business owner. So that's like that individual article. Blog posts are an essential tool to help you show up in search engines. When you write a blog, you're targeting specific keywords so you can show up where individuals are searching for specific things. Keywords are groups of words or specific words that you will add to your content that match words or groups of words that people are searching in search engines. So they're literally typing in keywords and you're hoping that your blog's going to show up for those keywords by having those words in the blog post itself. Keywords are a key part of an SEO or search engine optimization strategy, which you'll use to help rank your website higher on search engine results pages. So why have a blog? It's important for several reasons. First, having a blog helps position your brand as an expert in your industry. If your business specializes in non-toxic pet products, then showing your expertise in that area will help demonstrate to potential customers that you're an authority on non-toxic pet products, which will help build trust between you and potential customers. Second, blogs drive traffic to your website. A well-strategized blog will help businesses rank in search engines. The goal is to always rank on the first page of the search engine results. Why is that important? Just think about the last time that you Googled something. How often are you scrolling all the way to the bottom of that first page and then deciding to head to the second page? Almost never. So the goal is to get on that first page. By writing high quality blog posts, targeting high value keywords, you can attract more people to your site. Third, creating your own blog posts means that you have relevant content that you can share across all of your different platforms, including social media. Plus, great content is likely to get shared by others, which helps expand your business's reach even more. Fourth, a blog can help generate new leads. There's only so much that your homepage or your an about page can do. And I'm not saying that those pages are unimportant, because of course they are. They're incredibly important pages on your website and they deserve your time and attention. But those pages usually attract customers that are already interested in your brand, your product, or your service. These are people that are at the bottom of the sales funnel. So if they're searching for your brand name in Google, they already know about you. They already are looking for you specifically. But a blog helps you reach those critical top of the funnel people, that critical audience of people who are still in the awareness, discovery, and evaluation stages. For example, let's say you sell clean beauty products formulated without parabens, sulfates, mineral oils, etc. Your blog can act as a general resource with posts titled, "What is clean skincare? Benefits of clean beauty versus standard beauty products," or "How clean beauty products changed my skin." These types of posts attract an audience that's interested in learning more about clean beauty products, but they're not quite at the purchasing stage. They're not looking for your brand specifically. They're just interested in learning more about clean beauty products. So it's important for you to meet those people where they are, so that when they are ready to finally make a purchase, they'll already know about your brand. They'll trust you because they have seen your brand and gained valuable information from it, and they'll be ready to check your products out when they are ready to make that purchase. When you start a blog, it's important to ask yourself, what is this blog for? Who are you hoping to reach with this blog? Who is your target audience? Who do you want reading the content that you're going to work so hard to create? Because, of course, I'm going to work hard to give you tips and tools and strategies to make writing a blog easier, but it takes time. And so you want to make sure that you're being very intentional about the content that you're writing. When you decide to create a blog, it's about your target audience. They'll guide the decisions that you'll make on the types of content that you'll be writing. Whoops. If you have buyer personas, this would be a great time to refer to them. If you're not familiar, a buyer persona is a fictional person or people who represent the most important characteristics of your target audience. Personas are created based on real data that you have about your existing customers, as well as market research of your ideal customers. If you don't have buyer personas, you can find free templates to create buyer personas online, and it really just helps you visualize who you're writing your content for. Once you know who the blog is for, then it's time to decide what you'll write about. You want to choose topics that resonate with your target audience and that relate back to your brand. The topic should be broad enough that you have a lot of things to write about, but narrow enough that it makes sense for your business. You don't want to cast a super wide net where you're talking about, marketing advice and cleaning and cooking, but you don't want to be so narrow that you run out of content topic ideas in a month. So for example, the SBDC focuses on small business topics. So we write content featuring the small businesses that we work with, giving small businesses ideas on how they can market, really focusing on the entrepreneur experience. Allstate provides resources about insurance. So they have content that talks about how you can compare homeowners insurance or diamond engagement and wedding ring insurance options. While Home Depot focuses on common questions homeowners might ask and DIY project ideas. So I did a quick glance. They have something like how to measure a refrigerator, but also DIY gutter cleaning and guard installation. And what you can see about all of these different examples is the topics are large enough that there's a lot of room to play around in. There's a lot of opportunities to write about different things, but they also tie directly back to the brand. They make sense. It wouldn't make sense for me writing the SBDC brand or SBDC blog to write a blog about my favorite cleaning products. That just doesn't make sense for us. And it wouldn't make sense for Allstate to talk about how to measure a refrigerator. So making sure that the content that you're doing has your target audience in mind and also is relevant to your brand is really important. When starting a blog, you want it to be a section of your existing website so that it's going to be on the same platform that you host your site on. Most major website hosting platforms make it easy to add a blog section to your website, which is important because you want your blog to follow the same brand standards that you've set for the rest of your business. It should be immediately clear to visitors that your blog is published by your business. It should have your logo, your colors, your fonts, and any other brand assets that you've used to distinguish your business from others. Your blog should be organized like the rest of your website. It should be easy to navigate. Anyone who's visiting should be able to see what content is available, how to read it quickly. Have blogs organized by topic and recency. Finally, your blog should have a consistent look and feel throughout. Choose a theme that you like and stick with it. Every blog post should have a similar look and feel. Obviously, they're going to be slightly different. The topics that you're writing about are different. The format of the blog itself might be different. You might be writing a blog that's kind of an interview, or you might be writing a listicle, and that is fine. They can have different formats, but they shouldn't look like different websites. You should have a similar theme that every blog post follows. I'm going to check if we have any question. What's the benefit of hosting your blog on the same platform that you host your website? So hopefully I answered that. I think that the benefit is making it easy to have all of your web assets in one place, making sure that if you're on your business's website, you can also get to the blog very easily. If you have to go to a completely different site, it can just be a little more challenging, and people aren't quite as likely to bounce back and forth between, say, a content piece that you're writing in your blog and then a product page. So you have a blog section on your website. What do you do with it now? Having space for content is really just the start. Now it's time to dig into actually creating content. Large companies may have multiple individuals hired to create content, but it's likely that your small business does not. So you'll have several tasks that you're going to need to manage in order to have an effective blog. This can include brainstorming, writing, editing, publishing, and promotion, which when I say it all out loud sounds like a lot of work, but it doesn't have to be. And I'm going to walk you through some surefire ways to simplify the blogging process and get the most out of your content without it becoming a full-time job in and of itself. So we've all seen the dreaded blank page. You've all been faced with it at some point. Maybe this is taking you back to high school or college where you were staring at an empty page you're supposed to be filling with research, thoughts, and ideas. Or maybe for some of you more recently, you had to face this dreaded blank page when you sat down to write your business plan. It can be overwhelming staring at a blank page. Some people get that same feeling that they have when they're about to, go down a roller coaster drop. Other people get sweaty palms. Others will procrastinate entirely, waiting until the absolute minute to start filling an empty page. They just will do anything besides the task at hand. If that's you, you're absolutely not alone. As a marketer, I write for my job. I get paid to do it, and I can still get anxious looking at a blank page. But there are tons of strategies to conquer the dreaded blank page. It starts with brainstorming and research. You've probably heard of brainstorming. Many of you have likely tried it at some point in your life. It is a great tool to tackle the blank page. There are several brainstorming techniques, but these three are my personal favorite. First is rapid ideation. This is the technique that you're probably most familiar with. This is the technique that you think of when you think brainstorming. It's essentially stream of consciousness where your goal is to produce a lot of ideas in a short amount of time. When you're using rapid ideation, there's no wrong answers. You can write down whatever you're thinking. Not everything is going to be a great idea, but with rapid ideation, you're removing your personal judgment from the process, which allows you to open yourself up to outside of the box ideas. You'll go through all of the ideas that you write down later and ditch the ones that you're certain probably won't work for you, but it's a great way to get started and get those creative juices flowing. Mind mapping is another great technique. The picture that is on this slide is a simple example of mind mapping. So you start with a single idea and you write that down in the center of your page, or, you can do it online if you want, put like sticky notes on your desktop. You write down the single main idea. Then you can find related ideas and connections and write those around the center idea. So to give you an example, you've got daily habits to boost mental health. And so then you just start thinking, what can I do to boost my mental health? Well, I could keep a balanced diet. I could take a nap. I could journal. I could go and exercise. But then you're going to keep going. So you have daily habits to boost your mental health. And one of the examples is get physically active. Well, what can I do? I can go hiking with friends. I can join a gym. I can ask my mom to go for a walk. I can take the dog for a run. And you just keep going until you're out of ideas. Finally, you can give starbursting a try. Starbursting is a little bit different than some of the other brainstorming techniques in that you're focusing on questions, not answers. So you're going to start the same way as mind mapping. You're going to start with an idea at the center, but instead of then coming up with ideas, you're going to start asking questions. So who uses this product? What's difficult about using this product? Why would someone choose this product over a competitor? This can help put you in the place of your potential customers and the questions they might have, which better positions you to provide answers to those questions. So you've brainstormed, you've come up with some ideas. Now it's time to do research. First that you can do is you can look at what your competitors are doing. What topics are they writing about that you think you can do better? What topics seem like an obvious fit that they're just missing? Making sure that you know what your competitors are doing is important to begin with. It's important anyway, but it also can really help you when you're trying to create content. Make sure that the content that you're offering is valuable to potential customers. You can make sure that content is useful by conducting keyword research using tools like SEMrush, Answer the Public, keyword generators. They're really helpful. Because writing content takes time, you want to make sure that you're writing content that's actually useful. One, if someone comes to your blog post and it turns out that it's just a sales pitch, they'll leave. So you want to make sure that potential customers are actually interested in the topics that you're writing. Consider a person's intent when they're searching for something. Search intent, which is also referred to as user intent, is the goal a user has when they type a query into a search engine. So every time you type something into Google, that's called a query. And Google's #1 goal is to satisfy a query's search intent. For example, if someone searches for best suitcases for new moms, they're not trying to find a specific page or buy a specific product. Not yet. They're researching before they make a purchase. There are 4 types of search intent: navigational, informational, commercial, and transactional. Navigational is when a user is searching for a web page. They know exactly where they want to go and they're just using Google to get there. So they're typing in Target, they're typing in Starbucks, they're typing in login to YouTube. They know where they want to go. Google is just sending them straight there. Informational means a person is looking to learn something. This can be, how old is the president or time in Illinois right now. Most informational queries do provide blog posts, so blogging is critical when someone is searching with this intent in mind. Commercial is when someone is looking for information, but it is closely tied to a purchase action. So this is also an important place for you guys to be. These types of queries can include best travel coffee cups for long days, iPhone 15 versus Google Pixel 7. Blogs are important to be in this place. And finally, transactional. This is the end game. This is when someone is typing in buy used Mazda 3 or Netflix trial. These are queries that users search when they are ready to convert. So this is when your product pages are going to be key. A blog post is not going to show up for these types of search. So now we're going to talk about actually writing a blog post. You have ideas, you've done your research, and now it's time to actually sit down and start writing the darn thing. First, I want you to write what you know. This should be easy since you're writing blog content that's relevant to your business. And I'm assuming that you are the resident expert on your own business and industry. That's not to say that you're not going to have to do research. You probably will, especially as you continue writing more and more topics. But writing about your own industry is a whole lot easier than writing about something you're not familiar with. I can write a blog post about using Canva for small businesses super easily. I know exactly what I would want to write about. I know exactly what to search for, what keywords I want to target. But I would definitely struggle with writing something about, the history of the Roman Empire. So write what you know. Decide on the format of your blog ahead of time. As you're outlining, it can be easier if you have an idea of the format. You can write blogs in tons of different ways. They can just be, long text post articles. They can be listicles, how-to guides, interviews. There's no shortage of compositions for how to write a blog post. As you're writing your outline, you may realize, you know what, I think this might be better as a how-to guide and not as an interview, which is fine. But having an idea of that format is really helpful in getting started. You want to remember your keyword research. Make sure that you're writing with user intent in mind, and be aware of search volume. Keywords with lots of search volume also means more competition. So you want to make sure that you are aware that if there's low search volume, there's going to be less competition. I'm seeing a question. Is it best to keep the blog format the same for all blogs, or can you use various formats? I am of the opinion that you can certainly use various formats. That being said, I would make sure that the branding, the basic vibe of the blog follows the same brand components that you already have. But if you want to write a how-to guide, and then you want to write a listicle, and then you want to write an interview, that's fine. And actually, I would recommend it because, it kind of keeps things fresh for your blog readers. So now you're going to start outlining, and you want to use keywords naturally. There's no need to stuff your blog full of keywords. This is old news when it comes to writing blogs. At the dawn of the internet, when people first started writing with, ranking on search engines in mind, what they did was just stuff keywords in willy-nilly. They were all over. You had the keyword in the title. You had a keyword in every single sentence. And what happens there is it's unreadable, but the search engine saw the keyword and thought, oh, this needs to be ranked at the top. That is no longer the case. Stuffing your blog full of keywords at this point not only makes it difficult to read, but it can actually hurt you in search rankings. You want to write concisely, you want to write clearly, and you want to write for the audience, not for the search engine. By writing high quality content for your audience, by writing clearly and concisely, and by using keywords that you're targeting naturally, that is what's going to help you rank, not by trying to trick the search engine. Google is too smart for that now. So you've done your research, you've got an outline. Now it is time to actually start writing. So you're going to sit down and you want to actually start writing. It's important to try your best to make it easy for everyone to understand. Don't use jargon, and aim for a middle school reading level. If you're writing a blog that seems like a PhD dissertation, you're doing way too much. It's not going to perform well because no one's going to be able to read it. You want to make sure that it's easy for everyone to read. You want to make it accessible. If you're not sure if you're writing at a middle school reading level, I recommend using Hemingway Editor. You can just Google Hemingway Editor. What you'll do is you'll write your content, copy and paste it directly in, and it'll tell you right away, oh, this is rating at a grade 6 reading level. This is reading at a grade 7 reading level. If you're getting into grade 10, grade 12, you might want to do some editing, make it a little bit easier. Hemingway Editor is also great to just keep track of how you're writing it. It tells you how many of your sentences are a little difficult to read. It tells you how many of your sentences are extremely difficult to read. It's okay if every once in a while you have a sentence that's a little challenging to read. Sometimes that just means that, it's a little bit longer of a sentence, and there is something to be said about having variety of sentence structure. But if you pop it into Hemingway editor and 11 of 11 sentences is hard to read, then it's time to edit again. You also want to make sure that you're including relevant images in your blog post, and include alt text, which describes what the image is. Alt text is important for both accessibility and SEO's sake. Alt text is added on the back end of your site within HTML code, or if you have your CMS, there's like going to be a little box where you can add alt text. It's important because it's read aloud by screen readers, which are used by individuals who are visually impaired. So if a visually impaired person is reading your blog post but can't see the image, this screen reader will tell them this image and describe what it is by your alt text. And it's also used by search engine bots to understand your page a little better. Once everything is complete, you do a final check to make sure that it's optimized before you publish it. You want to make sure that your target keywords are also in the URL, and then you want to write a user-friendly meta description. A meta description is when you search for something in Google, it'll sometimes give you like a little, or it'll always give you kind of a little blurb that looks like it's kind of pulled from the page, and you can write that description. I can't guarantee that Google will always use it. Sometimes Google overrides the meta description you've written yourself and chooses a section of your website to display, but you should certainly have a meta description so that if it does pull your meta description, it's clear and has makes it clear what the blog topic is about. Okay, so I want to talk about AI because I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, oh my gosh, that's a lot of work to get started writing. So you can use artificial intelligence when writing a blog. But I want to caution you. I'm going to walk you through how you can use AI, but be careful. ChatGPT can spit out a full blog in just a few seconds. So it can be tempting to ask ChatGPT to write a blog on, holiday cookies, or best suitcases for international travel, or how to improve your style, and then simply copy and paste what it spit out directly to your site. However, I caution you against that approach. For one, AI is writing that blog based on content that it's been fed. So it's putting together a blog based on content that already exists. So you're not going to end up with something that is incredibly unique, or sometimes it's not particularly useful information. Second, as more and more of us start to use AI, it's becoming easier for us to identify when something was written by AI. Hopefully, in the future, that's going to happen less and less. In fact, it certainly will happen less and less as AI gets smarter and gets, sort of the human tone down better. That's going to be harder for us to pick up. But right now, it can still be a little bit easy for us to see, this was not written by a human. Sometimes you just sort of end up with word soup. Third, AI blog content is usually pretty generic, and sometimes it is not accurate. If you are using AI generated content, you are aligning your brand with that content, which means that if you take content that was written by AI that has inaccurate information that you have not corrected, it doesn't make ChatGPT look bad. It makes you look bad. It makes your business look bad. So you can't say, whoops, it wasn't me, it was ChatGPT. That isn't going to work. It's going to damage your brand reputation. if you're putting incorrect information out there, even if you used AI to help create it. With all of those cautions being said, AI can be an awesome jumping off point for creating a blog post. But it really is a jumping off point. You still need to do your own research. You have to write content that sounds like your brand voice, which ChatGPT at this point simply isn't going to be able to replicate. You have to add your own special information that really adds value that comes from you writing what you know. I find that using AI is really, really helpful for kind of a starting outline of a blog. But by the time I have completed a blog post, I have made significant changes to the content that ChatGPT spit out originally. I've used it to sort of give me an idea of, oh, I want to make sure that I talk about this and this and this, but then I go in and I fix it because it's just not going to sound as good if I don't go in and make it sound like my brand. I want to make it content that sounds like my brand and make it valuable. So, all that being said, you've written the blog. Now what do? You want to keep your blog active and fresh. It's critical for the success of a blog strategy to be keeping content coming. So creating a schedule, and you want to work hard to stick to it. You want to create that schedule and you want to work hard to stick to it. Saying it twice because it's important. Be realistic about your ability to create content. You're not likely to be able to post new content every day. You're small business owners, you're busy. Some of you are small business owners with a day job, so you are working 9 to 5 and then doing your business at night. There's no way that you're going to be able to put out new content every day. That's a full-time job. You might not even be able to put stuff out every week. And that is absolutely fine. Even a single blog post a month is a great place to start. And it's way better than no blog posts ever. Create a calendar to help you stay organized. Write down upcoming blog topics that you plan to work on. Include the title, topic, and the keywords that you plan to target. And then use whatever planner works best for you. You can write them down in a paper calendar. You can, get one of those big calendars that lays out on your desk and write them down that way. You can add them to your phone's calendar or your online calendar. Or you can use an online planning tool like Trello, where you can keep track of every step of the process from ideation to publication. So Trello, to give you an idea, you would write down, oh, I'm going to do this blog, I'm going to do this blog, and do this blog. And then you'll move it along kind of a timeline so that you know where you're at in the process. So, oh, I outlined the blog today. Oh, I did research. Oh, I'm writing the first until you get to publicized. Like all of your marketing initiatives, you're going to review your blog strategy regularly. Set it and forget it doesn't work for any of your marketing. It can work short term, having stuff set up ahead of time, but you need to make sure that you're reviewing your analytics to see how your blog posts are performing and make adjustments as needed. So you can take a look and see, oh, this is content that is performing really well. It's ranking on search engines. It is showing up to an audience that I want to be seeing. Or this isn't ranking. People are getting to the page and immediately bouncing back. They're not interested. So you want to make sure that you're checking your analytics and then adjusting your strategy if you need to. We have a question, is there a minimum frequency you recommend for the sake of popping up earlier in a Google search. So when it comes to frequency, for me, the importance is being realistic about what you can manage. If you can do a blog post every week, that's fantastic. If you can do a blog post every other week, that's great. If you can only do a blog post a month, that's still great. It's way better than writing no content. What's important is making sure that you're following a schedule so that you're keeping your content fresh on your website. And then also when you're talking about ranking, you want to make sure that the content is meeting the needs of the searcher. So you want to keep in mind the search intent. You want to keep in mind the keywords, and that will help you to rank better in Google. And frequency, like I said, it's really about being realistic about what you can accomplish. The worst thing that you can do is get super stressed out, say, I'm going to do a blog post every single week. And then you're like, this is way more work than I thought it was. And now you're putting out blog posts every week, but they're not interesting. They're not well thought out. The strategy isn't there. The keyword strategy isn't there. You're putting out content that you copied and pasted directly from ChatGPT. And you might as well not be writing a blog post if you're not being intentional about what you're writing. Once you have a blog written, you want to make sure it gets seen. Of course, the primary goal is for search engines to show your content, hopefully on that first page in those first few search results. But there's also a lot of other ways to get eyes on your hard work, and you want to make sure that you're doing that. First, you can share your blog posts on social media. Let your social audiences know that there's awesome new content that they might like to read. You can do that on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Email is also a great way to share blog posts. If you are one of our newsletter subscribers, we put out our blog posts in email sometimes. You can include relevant posts in your newsletter or create a special newsletter just for blog content and allow your audiences to opt in. Finally, you can make sure that your blog is easy to find on your website. Include a clear and prominent link to your blog in your menu, and include a CTA for readers to subscribe to the aforementioned blog newsletter. So once you've spent all of this time working on a blog post, it's written, it's great, and you've promoted it on social and via email. So now are you just done? Absolutely not. You worked really hard on this content. And so you want to make sure that you get everything out of the content that you can. So repurpose it into other content types. On the screen, there's a few examples that I've created that came straight from blogs I've written myself. I wrote a whole post on sustainability in small business. And it took me a little bit of time because I'm not a sustainability expert. So it took me some time to do the research and make sure that I was creating content that was useful for my audience. So I wanted to make sure that I get as much as I can from all of that hard work. So I took the main points that were addressed in the blog and I turned them into this short and sweet graphic that I can use on social. Reduce, reuse, recycle, go green with energy conservation, and made it, kind of repurpose that content that I spent a lot of time researching and then writing about. I also did the same thing for a Small Business Week blog post that we wrote, where I took the main topics and turned them into individual Instagram stories that we were then able to share during Small Business Week. You can also share newly created content and link to the original blog post if you want. So you can even sort of use the blog to create kind of, unique social posts or videos and then link back to the original blog. You can also use blog content to create videos or talk about it in podcasts. There's really endless ways for you to repurpose blog content. All right. So I want to thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A or the chat now, and I'd be happy to address them. But I thank you so much for your time. I really had a wonderful time chatting with all of you. I love blogging. I love writing. So it's always fun for me to be able to chat with you all. Taya is about to pop our survey into the chat. I would really appreciate you taking the time to answer it. It's very, very brief. It's 4 questions. It's super short. It will take you like 2 seconds, but it's really helpful for us to gain the insight of you guys about the webinar. It's also a requirement of our funder, the Small Business Administration, to ensure that we're able to keep running these types of webinars for you guys in the future. You'll also receive a recording of today's session and the deck in an email for this training that you'll get in the next few business days. So while Taya is looking for that survey link, I'm going to go through and check out. We do have a few more questions. When doing research, what is the most appropriate way to cite the source in a blog? So it depends on what you're citing. If you're just having like basic information, I find that the best way to do it is link back to the original content that you got it from. Obviously, if you got your information from a textbook or something, that's a little different. And then you might want to say, as read in X book, but it's great to include text, or it's great to link back to the original content as well. Is there an app that has content ideas to write a blog? I'm sure there are. I can't think of any offhand, but you can also just go onto Google and you can look up like blog content, like blog topic generators, and there's tons that can help you. Obviously, you have to then do your own research, check out keywords, make sure that you're thinking about search intent, but it's a great way to sort of like brainstorm ideas. When you're using stock photos, is it required to cite? So it really depends on the stock photo. If you have a stock photo that you're using and you've purchased it, you then own it, you don't have to cite it. If you're using a photo that someone else took and you want to give them credit, you probably should. If you're using photos from like a free photo source, you can use like Unsplash. Those ones you aren't required to cite, but it's always very nice since people are giving up free content for you to use. So it's always nice to cite. But yeah, you're going to want to check specifically what the rules are for that stock photo. Usually if you purchase it, if you've like purchased it to use, you don't have to cite it. When doing research, what's the most appropriate way? Oh, we already talked about that. All right, amazing. So any other questions? This seems time consuming. Is there an ROI? Does this detract from your core business? Yeah, there's an ROI. I wouldn't recommend that you start blogging if it was just a waste of your time. It is a little time consuming. It can be time consuming. Again, using AI can really help sort of shorten that, like kind of like take the lift and make it a little easier. But there is an ROI, especially if you're creating great content that ranks in search results, because that's how you're getting in front of audiences that don't know your brand at all. So if you're showing up because someone is sort of at that idea phase or at that research phase where they're, oh, I think I'm interested in using, clean skincare, but I'm not really sure. And you're there to answer questions for them. You're there to be a resource that they can trust. Then when they are ready to become a purchaser, they know you and it's great. So, yeah, I wouldn't recommend that you blog post if there was no return on investment. Again, blogs, it's not that bottom of the funnel, it's that top of the funnel, which can sometimes be really hard for small businesses to kind of figure out how to reach that audience. And a blog is a great way to do that. Is there a sweet spot for word count? Um, I haven't found, personally, I haven't found that there's a super sweet spot. I wouldn't do anything less than like 500 words. Usually if it's shorter than that, then, one, that's too short to really provide like useful content. So yeah, I wouldn't do anything less than around 500 words. But if the content demands it, I mean, I have read blogs that are, they're, if you printed them out, they would be like 6 or 7 pages long. So it really depends on the content, on how long the word count should be. It's really more about, just don't make it too short. If it's like 1 or 2 paragraphs, that's too short. The question about time consuming also can be answered by if you know the ideal client and you know they read blogs, you have to give them blogs. Yes, someone is saying that. Yeah, they have a specific line of businesses where their ideal clients said they don't care about blogs, so I don't do that for them. And that's great. Yeah. It all goes back to, thinking about your target audience. If your target audience doesn't use the internet, then you definitely aren't going to write blogs because they're not going to find them because blogs are on the internet. And so if your target audience isn't on the internet, then there would be no point. But if your target audience does find blogs useful, if they are on the internet, then yeah, it's probably a good place. If you're writing something for, my grandmother who is 85 and couldn't turn on a computer, probably not the right fit. But if you're trying to reach someone who is younger and is researching their purchases before they actually make them, then blog content is a great place to do that. All right. Well, this has been fantastic. I appreciate all of you guys sticking with me. And thank you so, so much. You'll be getting an email with all of this information. Make sure to connect with us. You can sign up for our newsletter. You can also follow us on social media. Love to see you all there. But it's been wonderful chatting with all of you, and I hope to see you at one of our future webinars. All right. Bye.